Hello everyone, welcome back to the OneTalk Podcast. You're here with your host, Ryan McCarthy. And today's episode, we are joined with Brodie Klotz. And within today's episode, we touch deep on men's work, becoming a father and the challenges that arise with that, and also a lot on the importance of community and brotherhood for men. This was an insightful episode around all those topics, and I can't wait for you all to dive in and check it out. In other news, if you could please leave this podcast a rating, it means so much in terms of helping this podcast grow and also reaching a larger audience. If you're on Apple or Spotify, you can leave a rating. If you're on YouTube, if you could subscribe, it would mean the world to me. But without further ado, let's welcome Brodie.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. The marathon continue. Victory lap tonight, though. Victory lap tonight.
Welcome to the OneTalk Podcast with Ryan McCarthy.
The marathon continues. That's what you were saying.
Welcome back to the OneTalk, brother. How are you, Brodie Klotz?
How are you, man? I'm amazing. Very relaxed. It's good to be back. It's a different room this time.
Oh, the whole different vibe. I know from the last time we did our podcast, we met not long before it. We didn't know each other. I had to ask what your wife's name was.
Yeah. What's her name again? I actually don't know. No.
But now, like, all these years later, you know, we've bonded a close friendship. We've done a lot over the years as well, and it's really cool to be able to come back and do a bit of a catch up on what's been happening in your life and both of our lives.
Yeah, man. It's so cool. Even just reflecting on, like, I didn't even know it was 2022. I was just like, no way. I thought it was like last year.
3 years.
Yeah. I remember driving in here. I was just like, it's nighttime. I'm like, oh, this is where it is. So it's actually going to be cool. Even though I was like relaxed that first time, but not knowing your story, but like coming from like where it is now, it's just awesome to call your brother and knew that we were going to connect on a deeper level. And I'm excited to learn and grow, and I'm excited to add more value, especially as we're both new dads and new shifts are happening. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I can imagine a lot of our purpose and mission has shifted over the years, especially now being dads. I guess a good place to start with, what do you think has been the biggest shift in your life since becoming a dad? Besides like routines and schedules and all that, I guess more of an internal shift. What do you think has been some of the biggest shifts that's happened for you?
Yeah, the selfless part of being actually really intentional with your time and knowing that someone depends on you. Like someone actually depends on you that can't talk, can't walk, can't tell if it's in pain, still trying to figure out those cries. And what got me like really emotional was like seeing my daughter like come out of my wife's womb and just knowing that she's going to be in my life forever. It's not a week, it's not a 2 week, 3 week thing. It's a forever thing. And it just been speaking to so many people, even you was chatting before about like the responsibility of like, we are made for more. And everything that I went through was actually to help me to these next steps of being a dad. And for me, just supporting my wife, because seeing her go through the 9 months of pregnancy, and there was some beautiful moments, but there was some hit and miss moments as well. And, just super grateful that I could be there and be present with her and love her in that. And it's just been the most incredible gift. And people say, you know, you won't know love until you're a dad.
It's true, because like a lot of people would say, like every time I spoke to someone about becoming a parent, they'd be like, it's the best thing ever. Yeah. And I'm like, I understand what you're saying, but I was like, I thought I did understand it on a deeper level. But then when you have your own kid, you're like, oh, it makes sense now why it is the best thing ever. And it's not something that you choose to be the best thing ever. It's like more of an instinct feeling of, wow, like it's just so wholesome, isn't it?
It's crazy, man. The protection. Steph got a haircut recently, and I was holding I'm holding a chocolate bar. I'm like, do not touch it. You know what I mean? It's my chocolate bar. This is my daughter, right? So I was literally in the local shopping center, and this was the first time Steph got some self-care. And unless he was screaming, like the first 20 minutes her eyes was open, she's like, it's game time.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, such a cute baby. And I'm like holding it, like protecting it. Not that people are going to do anything wrong with it, but I've realized how much my father instinct like my lion warrior, kind of the mentality of those archetypes that we talked about in the other podcasts. Yeah, about, you know, the king, warrior, magician, lover. And it's like I've definitely tapped into that elder king wisdom of like, I'm going to show you the world, but I also want you to fall on your own back and stand up for yourself, because the biggest thing I'm learning too, bro, is my mum and dad's teachings and realizing like, wow, that would have been really tough. Having a full-time job, having 4 sons, the stress back then, all those years ago to now, I can really appreciate my parents on a deeper level that I would never have if I didn't have a child.
Especially in today's world with how much ease we have to accessibility to so many different things. Like, even though the cost of living is a bit bonkers at the moment, just a bit, that's an understatement. But like just how we have access to so many different resources, I guess a lot of people in the past didn't have. So it's a cool reflection piece to be able to ground yourself and be grateful, because I find when you are going for a big shift in life, you can kind of get lost in a way. But if you don't have grounding practices, I mean, if you do have grounding practices, it really helps with that journey.
Yeah, like, and even just doing that our breathing technique before we jump on a potty, like it's just like, whew, like it's a lot when you actually sit and relax. And we both like work in those space of like, you're holding a lot of space for people, and you come home, it doesn't matter how tired you are. You take your child, change a nappy, take a bath, let your partner or wife, you know, rest, and you don't have those stories of like, I'm tired or I'm exhausted. I don't know, for me, I've always been the energetic person, but I've now found some crazy energy that I can just unlock at different times. I'm sure you know this too, man. Like, it's just crazy. I'm just like, where was this when I needed it? When I was like falling asleep at the airport, or falling asleep nearly on the wheel doing long trips. But when you have someone that depends on you and just looks at you with so much love, like it doesn't matter what day I had at work, you come back and you go, like, I've won in life. Especially the first smile too. Yeah,
that's the best. I got a video today of Bobby smiling, my son. And literally I messaged Rhiannon back and I was like, there's no better thing in the world seeing your kid smile.
It's beautiful, man.
Yeah, it's such an incredible feeling. And like you said, like that switch, and like, because obviously you become sleep deprived, but your ability to deal with it, there's like a whole, like, I was so confused when I got home after the birth, because we're in the hospital for a couple of days, not much sleep at all. Came home, not much sleep at all. I remember sitting there on like the 3rd day at home feeding Bobby, and I was like, am I dreaming? Like, I was that tired. I've never been that tired in my whole life, to the point where you have to like force yourself to be awake. But I was sitting there like, I literally felt like I was dreaming. Like it was such a weird like trends feeling. But just your ability to be able to adapt into those situations naturally is pretty incredible. It really shows you what the mind and body is truly capable of. You know, it's like a whole different realm of life we're starting to experience, which is really cool, because there's so many more things that we will experience because of it.
Yeah, I think just even touching on that, I was listening to, I think it was like, you and Reese, the podcast you did a couple of months ago, but it was just like, imagine when Bobby, with his friends, listened to your podcast and the stories of your dad's growth. I think that's so special, man. I think, you know, let's use social media as something that's really important.
Yeah.
And yeah, to reflect, I wish my mum and dad started a podcast. And, you know, I've actually got this book. I'm not sure if you've seen this on social media. It's going around. It's like things I wish my dad said to me.
Yeah, the book. Yeah.
So it's awesome. I haven't purchased it yet, but I will. I want to give it to my dad, and then he can write down all these things, because he's quite ill in different health conditions, and you just never know, man. So I would hate to know that there was some things that I missed, and I can always circle back. Favorite recipe, favorite quote. For you, has it been for you, like when you become a dad, like all these instinctual things of like, I need to know certain things about other family members or friends, or has that come to you at all?
I'd say more so, yeah. Probably put more light on it, because I was always interested in a bit of heritage as well, and where I come from, because like my great granddad fought in World War II when he was 15. Like he faked his age and went and fought in the war.
Stories like that.
Yeah, I was like, but I'd love to know like who he actually was as a man, You know, like you hear these stories of the things he did, but who was he? Yeah. You know, and I think about that with the generations before, like past my great granddad Thomas, I don't know anyone by their name, let alone story or what they did past that, like great grandparents. And it's like we live in the day and age now where we can leave a digital footprint where our great, let's assume the world's still here and technology is still here, like hundreds of generations past us now can really tap into this podcast and see what great granddad Brodie was up to, you know, which is really cool, and get to know us like on a human level and get to see like, oh, I do the same thing as him, or we have the same mannerism, or there's some similar characteristics, or maybe that's where I get that from, and really being able to connect and learn about Alessia and Steph and so many different things, or how the world was today. Because can you imagine listening to one of our family members from about the 1600s talk about how life was then on the podcast, and then we're sitting here now in 2025 just listening to that. And I think, yeah, to answer your question, I do think becoming the father has probably amplified that knowing and curiosity a lot more to be able to, I guess, leave more of a digital footprint for generations to come.
I love that, man.
How about you?
Yeah, I think I've always been like connected with my family and friends. So as I shared in the last podcast, if people haven't seen it before, like my parents divorced when I was like 2009. Yeah, and it was always like, I was always connected with my mum's side and my dad's side, but when I have my own family, it's weird when I go, I'm just catching up with my family. They're like, your mum and dad? I'm like, no, my family. Like, this is my family now.
Yeah.
And even when I go, oh, hey, mum, and my biological mum is looking at me, I'm like, no, talk to Steph. Like, it's weird how these things like change. Like, we make things mean different things. But yeah, I feel like a couple of years ago, I had my late grandfather. He came to my wedding in 2019. Yeah. Both my grandfather and Steph's grandfather, and they both passed away like a year between. So it was really special that they came to the wedding. And just realizing, I remember on his deathbed, and he said, do something that you would be proud of and do something that you won't regret. And if it's worth doing, do it well. And it's stuck by me to the day right now, man. It's like, even like his graves at the like Sunshine Coast, or like, yeah, Sunny Coast. And like sometimes when I need like guidance, I go up and speak to him and speak to my grandma. And, you know, I've realized she's getting older. My mum's getting older. My mum's getting older. And I've realized, you know, Alessia will not get to know him like I do. And these are why the books are important, the potties are important, and me just going all in on just life, not just money or business or health, but just going in on life. I think it's so important because unfortunately what I've been through has made me the man that I am today. Yeah. But I also know that, you know, death and taxes they're a certain thing in life. Unless you're avoiding the government, and the ATO can listen to this. But in all seriousness, like you've got to live life like you last. Like I remember when my little brother, he had something caught in his eye. He nearly got blinded by this stupid dolphin stick at a fate. And he could have lost his eye because there was like this dolphin on the side of his eye. And I remember in the hospital, and there was people that had cancer, and they were like talking to me, and they were very happy. And I think I was just really tired and stressed. And I said, I'm just having a shit day. And I reflect back on that now, that conversation with that little boy, and I'm like, well, he must have thought I was a dick. Like, he's got cancer, and I'm complaining that I'm tired. Yeah. They only see those four walls. And working in disability mental health and working in the mental health hospitals and being a client and a, you know, lived experience practitioner, like some people, they don't know like life outside these four walls, man. I just, sometimes I pinch myself, like how grateful and how lucky that I was born the way I was born, and my mindset, because not everyone has this. And I think it's important to give back to others and give your knowledge before, you know, you do pass your time here.
Why is giving back to others so important?
Because I've done it for me, man. Like, so many people have given so much to me. I haven't always been quote unquote winning in life. I think I said, you know, I talk about, you know, time freedom, financial freedom a lot on my social media, and, you know, I tried to find it. I was like, where is it? Open door. It's like, it's this, man. It's having these conversations. It's having brothers like you to have these conversations on and offline, and to have people that actually care about you. And if someone gives you that time, I believe it's a duty to give back to others. You know, there's a lot of people on social media. There's a guy in Melbourne, I forgot his name, but that's okay. But he does amazing stuff all over the globe. Doesn't want anything back. He just goes into these countries and just donates all the money. And, you know, for me, like, it could be as little as a conversation. It could be as little as whatever that is. But if I can, I will, because I know a conversation can change a life. And that's why I continue to give so much back to my community, because it's just a beautiful thing, man. I know what it's like being in a mental health hospital, you know, wanting to not be here. And I've had mates like you and so many other mates that check in and just go like, "You right, bro?" And for most of my teenage years, man, I was in fight and flight, and I had people that just wanted my energy but not really care about me. So now that I've got a good community, I truly want to give it back to people if they want it. You know, not everyone wants to have that, but I always just want to give back when I can.
I love that, but it makes me curious, like, how do you distinguish between the two, people wanting your energy and people that actually care for you?
This is why he's number one. So for me, I've had this a lot this year with shifting into being my own boss, you know, saying no to certain things, certain energies. So I really ask myself, you know, what's their intention? You know, why are they wanting my time or what have you? So for me, the people that just going to be there regardless when I'm winning or losing, they're the people that I believe that they're there for me. The people that just want me for a certain, what's the word? Like an outcome. Then I just go, yeah, I'll just put my boundaries in. And it was such a learning piece for me to learn that. Because I wanted to be like loved, man. I wanted to be like everyone liked me, because I was bullied in school. I was always like really, had friends, but because I had money, like my parents had money, had Suncorp Stadium tickets. Everyone wanted to be my friend, you know, Broncos roar, you know, like, and then after the tickets ended, those people ended. I was talking to a mate the other day, and we're talking about my wedding. I think 2 out of my 10 of my mates are still in my circle. Some are chosen by them, some are just fallen out, which is a natural part of life. But I just realized, I'm like, wow, like 2 friends that are still in my life out of the 10 in my wedding are still, you know, connecting and want to grow with me. So I think it's a big thing people should know, that you'll find the people that are, when you're not winning and they're still there with you, just supporting you, they're the ones that you should give your time and commitment. Because I truly believe having good friends is a full-time job. You've got to invest into it.
You got to, because, you know, you got to check in with people as much as you want them to check in with you. You know, you got to support people as much as you want them to support you, you know, because friendships are, you know, it's a two-way street. It's not just one. And sometimes it is one, because one person needs more support than the other, or one person needs a little bit more than the other every now and then. But eventually it all balances out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's, I love this little meme. It's just like, hey, how are you? 2017. And then someone's like, good, thanks. 2019. You know, it's just like, don't be that friend, guys.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't have to, we're not in school anymore. We don't have to do this. And like I say to so many brothers, and even you and me, mate, like we do that monthly connect catch up, because like life gets busy, man. And being a new father, like there's so many depths, like there's books, there's podcasts, there's courses. It's so overwhelming. You're like, am I doing this right? Like I was with Alessia today when Steph went to a health specialist appointment. I was like, do I put her in the tummy time? Do I put her into this pool thing? And because Steph does it naturally, just, you know, on repeat. And when I'm on my own, I'm like, all these voices that are not mine. Like when I say voices, I mean just subconscious limiting beliefs, not obviously voices. They're like, oh, you know, what are you doing? Or you're not a good dad. And it's tough out there, man. And a lot of men that we both know, personally know and seen in this field, they don't have that brotherhood and they don't have that support. And, you know, postnatal in men as well, it's pretty big. So I know for me, when I first started being a dad, everyone was checking up on Steph, which was normal. Like she just had the baby. Like I was just chilling. Like I was pumping and music. I was the essential oils guy. I was the cheer squad, as you know. I know you were too. But yeah, it would have been nice. And this is just a topic I believe men should take this seriously. We can get postnatal depression.
Definitely.
So
100% true. And especially with men, one of the ways I feel like a lot of men feel love is tokens of appreciation. Like, I know I'll go to lengths to support people and I don't want anything in return, but I do know just a little bit of appreciation makes everything worthwhile. Like, even if it is I do something really hectic for someone and, you know, but as long as someone appreciates it, I'm like, that's my cup filled up. And I feel like a lot of men, that's where they get their cup filled from, especially the people that they love in their life. Like, the thing they want most back, or the thing that they want in return for the work that they do, or the things that they do within a relationship or within a family, is just tokens of appreciation. And also that can go too far as well, because you see a lot of families break down because the father is like, you guys don't appreciate what I did. So there's two different sides of it. It's also knowing the line. I think that's why it comes down to, it's important for men to do a bit of the work and understand themselves on a deep level, and always reflect to make sure that they're not pushing their beliefs onto other people, and that they are doing things out of a place of love, and especially for the family too. But I find that if you are a female listening to this and you see your husband maybe slacking off a little bit or doing a bit of this and that, maybe talk about the things you appreciate him doing. And I guarantee that'll motivate him even more to do all the other things that he's not doing. Because I find, especially in relationships, people find if a bloke isn't doing enough, it's like if a bloke does 10 things and there's one thing wrong, hound him on that one thing. It's like, no, tell him how much you appreciate and how well he's doing those other things. And I guarantee he'll grow and flourish in that one thing that he's not doing correctly. Because I find, especially with men, if you put them down on that one thing, they're going to just spiral out of control.
Yeah, that is huge, man. I literally had this conversation with a few friends and also Steph as well. Like, she's like, obviously it's her story, but I'm not going to go too depths of it. But I know for any women that struggles with, you know, finding their voice after, you know, obviously with Steph's health condition, as you know, she's been through so much, so much. And now to have this, and she's flourishing now, which is fantastic with the right support. But now thinking, when you are going through sleep deprivation, you are feeling that you are a full-time, you know, Steph calls herself a dairy cow. She's like, here's the dairy cow. Alessia lights up. She's like, yeah. I said, look, I'd breastfeed if I could, you know. She sometimes cuddles me, and she's like, wrong.
Looking for it.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I just feel like, if you like, and I guess it's such an important topic, something that I've been through, but also something I'm passionate about, because I love men's work. You know how much I've done in that space. And I think if you are commenting, like, they could do 20 good things, but if they've had a really bad day and you just send them off going, hey, you didn't take the bin out, and they just like snap. It's like, it's not because the bin, it was all those things they did and they just forgot the one thing. So it's, I truly, like, men need to know their love language too. Because if I've sat in so many circles, like, I'm not share names, and I can share stories, but I can't share names. But it's a normal thing now that I sit in circle and men go, I'm tired, I'm uninspired, I'm doing so much for my family, they don't appreciate me. That's what they say. But then when we find the deep stuff, it's just like, they're not wanting to receive love. Every time they're away or like downtime, they're busy. So like, how can their partners or wives or friends give them love and support if they're consciously or subconsciously like lifting away, they're on their phone or they're not present, you know? And it's like, it's something big for me that I'm learning. Even doing that 25 minutes working, 5-minute break, I only just did it today, did all my work. I'm like, why haven't I done that before? I've heard about it. It's just those little things. I've got to hear it like 15 times. It's like anything, right? I haven't. You got to hear it like 15, 16 times. Maybe someone else has said it in a different way. But yeah, like, if you are struggling going through new fatherhood, I think it's important to appreciate like what you're actually doing. And if your partner doesn't want this certain lifestyle, why are you working so hard? Why are you earning this money? If, you know, I know this sounds so cliche, but like, you probably know this, like, how does kids spell time? It's love. It's LOVE. And they don't care what car you drive, where you live, what you do for work, what title you have. They want you to be home. And I know we're both so passionate about, and we're very close to achieving that for both of us. So it's tough, but it's possible.
Yeah. That's why I think it's also important for men to communicate these things to their wife, because a lot of men don't want to open up because they don't want to be seen as weak, because they want to be the rock of the family. And it's like, well, if your missus or your wife is saying these things to you, let's just say, go back to the thing I was talking about before about lack of feeling appreciated. But if you don't communicate that in a way that's going to resolve it, and you know everyone understands and everyone's on the same terms and things like that, so you can't really expect it either. I think a lot of people expect to be treated or expect to get these certain things without even communicating them with people. Like we just assume people know us and what we want. Whereas like, no, you've actually got to speak and talk and, you know, speak about how you feel and what you do like and what your love language is. Because like you could be buying your wife gifts all the time, but her love language might be affirmations. And it's like, are you really connecting with her? But then I also find with your love language too, you usually output your own love language to other people. You know what I mean? So like my own personal one is affirmations, and I would usually give affirmations to other people, especially my wife. But then I started to realize, but that's my love language, and that's why I give it. And it's like, well, maybe that's not Rienne's love language in particular. So I find communication is so important in a relationship, just to be able to truly understand each other, because the whole point of a relationship is to spend the rest of each other's lives with each other, you know, and build a family and build something. And if you're not going to communicate and try and get the best understanding of each other possible, then how are you meant to get the best out of life together? You know what I mean?
That's powerful, bro. And I think that's so important. I think mine was, I know Steph's quality time. I think mine was many years ago when I did like materialistic things, was like presents or like gifts. Now, I think it is actually affirmations, and I always do this as well. Like we do this, and I send this to other mates. Like, I appreciate you. Like, I love you, man. Like, I do those things because I know I've had numerous friends I didn't have conversations with, and they're no longer here on this planet. And I didn't say that I love them and I miss them and I appreciate them. And it's just wild. Like, we give so much fame to like celebrities and people that we've never met, but you don't check in on your mates and you don't tell them that, hey, like as I did today just before dinner, like I remembered your drink. Like, those little things mean something to me because I actually listen and care.
Yeah. It's funny though, because like someone will say happy birthday to a celebrity on Instagram, but they won't share your business post or something on Instagram. And
Rex, my little Instagram little palette. Like, I can't put OneTalk green because shit, Thursday's red. Just be a good human being. Come on.
It's so true, man. But you know, a lot of it does come down to communication, but also communicate sometimes with yourself, because one of the things that really helped me in life was just talking to myself and figuring things out. Because I found that I started asking myself questions, whether it's journaling or speaking out loud. You start like finding out more deeper things about your own self, which is so powerful in life, because if we only know ourselves on the surface level, then I feel like we're not going to be who we want to be or what we want in life at all. But until you start asking yourself quality questions and answers start coming up, you can kind of get stuck sometimes in life.
Yeah. Journaling is something that I have, definitely put down the priority list. But yeah, as you said, bro, so perfectly, like, ask yourself good questions and you'll get powerful results. Because I think we talked about this a while back as well. And like, I know a lot of people, listen to podcasts and they want to grow and they want to invest and they go to these courses and you're just pumped up. And I literally did a post about this yesterday, and it's just like, just focus on one thing until you get really good at it and then move on to the next thing. And it's like, there's so much out there. You got the breath work, you got ice bath, you got the recovery, you got the gym, you got all these things, but it's just like, do you actually want to do that? Like, who asked you to jump on an ice bath if you don't want to go on an ice bath? If you don't like the cold, then don't go on the cold.
It's like, why do you do it?
Why do you do it? Yeah, like, because John did it. And it's just this Kerwin Ray, like, rest in peace. Lost him last year. He talked about on his Instagram, they're like, why do we cut the pork why can't we just put the whole pork in the oven? Have you heard that story?
No.
So basically, it's a metaphor of like life. Why are we taking on other people's stories back in the day? So the other grandma said, oh, the reason why we cut the pork from the side is because we had a smaller oven back then. I'm just doing it now. I'm like, but we've got a bigger oven now. So like, this is just a question for the viewers is, what are you doing, now that, doesn't really serve you because it's changed?
Yeah, 100%. I remember the first time I got into one the big trends started going on social media around people pushing personal development and self-improvement and all that.
Yep.
Some guy was yelling at me to make my bed. So I started doing it first thing, as soon as I get out of bed, I'm making my bed. And then after a week of it, I was like, fuck this. I'll make my bed in half an hour. I want to take a shit first. I want to brush my teeth. I want to have some toast, I want to do all these other things.
Are you getting up at 5 a.m.?
Yeah, legit. I even tried that too. I tried the whole get up at 5 a.m. and I'm like, but I'm a night person. I'm more functional at nighttime, and started doing other people's routines and then wondering why I wasn't getting results. And it's well, none of it aligns with me. Sitting there trying to hold in the shit while I'm making the bed. Quick, get the pillowcase on.
Hospital corners. Mate, I still can't make my bed properly. Steps just unmakes it. I'm like, well, I'm making an effort, okay? That's so true, man. I'm laughing so much in this because I went to David Goggins recently, last year, well. And yeah, you could just tell the people that were there, they were bulk, they were tank, and they had the question and answers, David Goggins. And look, I love David Goggins, and his approach is great, but it doesn't serve everyone. You don't have to go for an ultra marathon or get up at 5 a.m. or all those things. But what I found really interesting, man, was everyone asked him about, why do you do this? Why do you do this? And he actually said, I don't actually wish I didn't have what I went through. I wish I just kind of had a normal life, because I just would have been David Goggins, not this person. Imagine if you go in the shops, you're stay hard, stay hard, I was actually reflecting on this today, and, I've got a pretty big following from just a normal person sharing my stuff, and people watch it, and people, know me on different levels going all over the world, man. I just go imagine if you're that popular, you couldn't even have dinner. Go to your local Aldi without asking for a photo. I love photos. You know me, I'm let's go photo. But imagine that every damn day. You want to protect your son. You want to protect who you are as a person.
Have lunch with your family. People have run up to you.
Yeah.
You don't even know who these people are run up to you too. It's a safety thing.
Yeah. Knocking out 5 people. I just wanted a photo, Ryan. Sorry, mate. Don't come back at me. But yeah, man, for me, I was constantly in that self-development I'd say cycle, and I wouldn't say it's a positive one. And I had to learn through that. There's nothing against personal development. I'm all for going to find your edges and find your passions. But
yeah, agreed.
If you're following just the next Dick and Harry on the reel and go, I'm going to do this, and if it doesn't serve you, then stop doing it. You make your own rules.
It's also defining what personal development is for you. Because personal development for someone else it's collaborative with their goals. And it's are your goals aligned with their goals? Because your personal development, you want to develop your own personnel to get to your goals and get to where you want to be in life. That looks completely different to John and someone else on Instagram who you don't know on the other side of the world. It's you can use them as motivation to fuel what you do, but make sure you truly define what your own goals are and what it is you want to develop. Because otherwise, you're just molding yourself into someone that you don't even want to be.
Yeah, I was watching a reel before, and it's just if you don't choose a life, the universe will choose it for you. And I'm I'm just reflecting the last 10 years, man, being in an organization, being an employee mindset, nothing wrong with that as well. I know I throw a lot of shade on the 9 to 5, but I'm waking humans up to go, hey, there's actually, if you do find your passion and purpose, you can work less, earn more money, and be with your family. And who doesn't want that? I haven't met someone yet that doesn't want that. Yeah. So you've just got to find what suits you. And if you don't know your values, then take some time seriously to figure out what you value. Wednesday night, man, we're talking. I have no idea what's going to come out next. We're just hanging out. We're adding value, and that's special to me. That's personal development. I get these questions all the time. Are you nervous? It's just Yeah, a little bit. Like, I have no idea what I'm going to say. I've got to be careful. But in all honesty, I'm just being Brodie, and your vibe attracts your tribe, man. Like, your network is everything. So, doesn't matter how big or small you are. You're just going to make sure you're with the right people for the right reasons too.
Yeah, but who is Brodie?
You asked me that question before. Who's Brodie? Yeah, man. Who is Brodie?
2025, February 19th, 2025, 7:20 p.m. Who's Brodie right now?
I'm a podcast special guest on OneTalk.
Facts.
I'm a father, husband, brother to many. I'm also an independent sole trader in the NDO space. I started 3 weeks ago. Very proud of that. And I'm just someone that is very inappropriate and funny different times, but I care. Like, I really care about people, and I just want to have fun in life. I think for me, I've followed, and you brought this up, and I knew this was the perfect timing. You brought that up for a reason. Like, I was always following the crowd. And when I talked about it in our first podcast together, I had doctors telling me I need to be on medication and I need to do this regular thing. And imagine listening to your doctors all the time. Doctors are great, but they're not actually role models. They're there to see you for 15 minutes and see you later. So, yeah, man, like, I think I was a trauma recovery coach when I did the first podcast with you. And I find that really funny, like, in a really growth mindset. Yeah. Because I was like, I changed my name so much. I could have been a burrito coach. You know what I mean? Yeah. Shout out. But yeah, I've grown so much, and I had to go through everything of those things. And I'm still the same person. If anyone gets a chance, definitely listen to that first podcast Ryan interviewed me on in 2022, because you can just tell that my energy is different. I'm in a lot more abundance mindset in all areas, and I just want to give back now. And I think ever since I turned 30 and became a dad, I don't know how to even explain it, but it just, something switched in my brain, and I've been showing up a hell of a lot differently.
You talk about there, your energy is different. And everything you mentioned just then was Brodie of the world, but who's Brodie's spirit? Like, who are you to you?
Yeah. Brodie's spirit.
The reason I ask this is because we have a perception of the world that we want people to see, but then we also have our own perception that we truly know. And I guess to your own spirit, or to your own knowing, like, who do you believe yourself to be in terms of you to yourself?
Yeah, that stumped me a little bit, which is really cool. For me, who I am to myself when the camera's not rolling, the lights are not on, I'm not, quote unquote performing. Yeah. I think I'm just that little boy, just wanted to be accepted and loved. I think for me, I've really struggled with this diagnosis of ADHD, and is it real? And if it's not, people telling me different things. And that spirit of, like, remembering, just being a class clown in school, and, just wanting everyone to get along. And I feel like that spirit is, I feel like I was like maybe like a community event member in the mountains, and I just brought people together. I don't think I've actually sat with the impact that I actually have had and the conversations that I've had with people. And it's not a monetized thing. It's not obviously it's a friendship thing. You grow with people you want to grow with, but I feel like my whole purpose, my whole spirit is to bring people together. I've sat with it before when I was on this men's retreat, and it was like, fasting, and for me, I want to eat. I don't want to fast for 3 days.
I'm starving.
Yeah, I probably was just hallucinating. Maybe it wasn't my spirit. Maybe I was just like eating my soul. But in all seriousness, man, like I know I need to and want to dive into self more, because it's so easy to have those masks, right? To be the dad, to be the provider, to be the protector, to be a special guest, to have this thing. But it's like, if that's all stripped away from you, like, who are you just as you? And I've always just been that person that wants people to be loved, happy and accepted. And for me, I don't think I have been accepted the way I kind of wish. I feel like I constantly have to prove myself to certain things in certain avenues. Like I know my worth now. I know who I want to be around, but I'd be lying to you if I have moments of doubt where I'm like, are they going to find out who I really am? Like, what if they actually find out like who I really, really am? Yeah. Like, will they still hang out with me? So that was a really deep question. That was beautiful, because I pride myself on me. And I've had numerous friends go, you don't have to post and you don't have to do all these things. You just can be. My tattoo, be here now. Like, I kind of, inked it in my skin for a reason. Yeah. And I think being in the present moment is when you'll find yourself. And that's, the practices that I do recently, mate, with the stillness and the breath work and, just sitting in my car for 5-10 minutes before I enter my house, because I don't want that energy to go to my family. Because that's a lot of white noise, man. Like, I'm jumping on Instagram and WhatsApp and Signal and rah-de-rah. There's a lot that's pre-framing what day I have. Yeah. And I can always change the day, of course, but I'm setting myself up to fail if I'm checking it first thing in the morning. Some days I do. Some days I'm like, I made this wicked post. I made this wicked thing, validate me, dopamine. So yeah, man, I still go through that. And as I said on the first potty with you, I'm still integrating. I'm never going to pretend that I'm fully healed. So that's something I definitely want to work on.
We're all of us are always integrating, because the reason I asked that question is because us personally are always evolving. Like that question that Ash, like, who are you at your spirit? And because I know, you've become a father recently and you've had to step up in a lot more different ways across life. I was just interested to know if there was another aspect of drive or another aspect of spirit that was pushing and driving you to be this person of the world, if you know what I mean. It's like this kind person, loving person, treating people good, showing up for people, bringing the world together. I guess I was fishing to see, and you probably will, as soon as I say it, relate with it, because for me, like when my kid was born, it's like when they grow up, like I want the world to, hopefully I can make an impact in the world to a point where they can grow up in an environment that I see as loving and supportive, and hopefully I and you can make that impact in the community so they feel that.
Yeah, we definitely are. Yeah. No, that's good. You fished well. So the stuff that I experienced growing up, I definitely want whoever she chooses to date, male or female, whatever, it doesn't matter. How I show up is biggest thing. And this is something that I love to share, man, is if she goes see someone and then they go, no, I'm not going to see him or her because he's not like my mum or dad. Yeah. That's the standard that I want of the respect, the consent, the love. Like, if I knew what I knew back now, I probably wouldn't have half the relationships that I've had and all the pain and trauma that I've caused and been through myself. I've definitely have now shifted. It's funny you say that because I talked about women and dating, and I struggled to date the quote unquote pretty girls. Always, felt that I was dating these, girls on a larger scale or overweight, or whatever you want to call it. And now, even some of my mates' comments going, oh, look at that chick's ass. I actually fucking get rage. Yeah. I actually get rage now. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. Kind of happy-go-lucky little spirit. But now I have a daughter. Things have shifted. And I can appreciate a woman's body and go, she's beautiful. But when mates are going, oh, mate, I'd love to all that.
Objectifying.
Yeah. I'm just like, phew, like, so that spirit is like, I'm definitely that. I've always been, hey bro, how are you? Good, thanks. Yeah, cool. But like when you come out after my family, you come after, who I am as a person, then it's a different story. And I used to hate like watching fights, and I used to hate doing all these process things at men's work. And now I'm like, oh, I'm glad I kind of did that. Yeah. Because, I don't want my daughter to go through the pain and suffering the world has seen, and even personally that I've seen in relationships. So, man, yeah, I've always respected women, but now I've got a lot more, didn't know that was possible, a lot more respect for my mum and for women in general, what they have to put up with. And I think this is the reason why I went into men's work, is to be a better man and to be a safe man. And what I mean by a safe man, and you can probably feel it, you've done a lot of work yourself, man, you can feel people's energies. You can feel, like, for an example, I trust you. You can be around Alessia and Steph. There's certain friends that you can feel that they're not integrated that safeness. Yeah. I'm not going to hurt them, but it's just like when you've done men's work, you can understand what I'm talking about, because I want all relationships in my life to be, if something happens to me, I know that my wife and my daughter can be taken care of. Yeah. So.
And that's why it's important to, circle back to having a strong network of men in your life, especially those being a bloke, and have men you can rely on, because if, God forbid, something does happen to us tomorrow, that your wife and child are going to forever be looked after, whether it's the role modeling for your kids, whether it's helping out with money and whatever it is, you've got a good circle of people there that will make sure that, your family won't go without.
Yeah. I literally thinking about, like, when you talked about that, I actually don't have a will.
Neither, actually. I'm avoiding it. I'm middle-aged, but not yet.
You're like, I'm never leaving. You're like, you might get a will. You need to get health insurance. But no, man, I actually love that. That was beautiful, man. That actually made me think so much. And even though we're brothers outside this podcast, it's actually really nice to have that depth question, because every time we have conversations, I think about it like and integrate in my life, and I'm like, who am I? Like, that perfect question is like, don't attach yourself to a company. Don't attach yourself to an object or a partner or a house or a title, because they can be always stripped away. But if you don't know who you are as a core, your values, what you like to do, what you don't like, then the world's going to contradict things. And I trust the universe will make you get triggered so much until you go, that's enough. I'm not doing that. Yeah. Because the universe is like telling you, I know you hate this, but you haven't told me that you hate this. So I'm just going to keep giving it to you until you kind of click.
Keep drip feeding you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just my belief.
No, I'm with you, because especially as becoming the father, I know myself and a lot of other people had similar things come up in regards to the feeling of needing to step up more in all areas of their life, even though it doesn't come from a point or a place where you don't feel like you're on enough already, but it just feels like there's another realm or level of life to tap into. Like, did you feel that as well?
Yeah, it was nuts. So, like, I literally, after like Steph got back in the hospital, I'm like, I'm going to start a business. Like, she's like, oh no, what business? We've been through some businesses. You got to laugh at yourself. Like, I was like, yeah, I've got a newborn. Yeah, I'll start a business. I'll leave a safe job. I've got this. Even just, shout out to the Shared Minds podcast. They just left their 2 jobs. Yeah. And they're just going all in. And they don't know how they're going to do it, but they figure it out. Yeah. Same for you, man. Like, I really, and I don't say this just because I'm sitting next to you and this is recording, like, your abundance to give back is already going to come back to serve you greatly. You know what I mean? I mean that you started from bottom, now we're here, because you have, man, like, you actually just serve and you don't expect anything in return. So I think if people find that love and support and connection with themselves, they'll go far.
Yeah, 100%, because I don't feel like you can serve others if you don't serve yourself.
Oh, it's so selfish not to look after yourself.
Yeah, it is, because how are you meant to give other people the best version of you when you can't even give that to yourself?
100%.
No, I know it's fine, especially in the line of work that we do, where we are helping people through the challenges and helping them navigate through life. I find that if you're going home and you're drained and you're not doing anything to look after yourself, and you start implementing bad habits and things that just drain you even more, essentially, like how are you meant to get to work and then support the people around you that you're meant to support, and then put family in there as well and support your family and everything that comes with it. But you have to start with self. You know, like you said, the most selfless thing that we can do is be selfish with the intention of it. With the intention of it being something that's going to serve us because it's going to serve everyone else.
Yeah, like people can watch those reels 10 over times, but you can't pour from an empty cup. Like you will feel, I feel it too, in like energy and when I'm not needed or when I'm not wanted, or if someone's just really tired, like you do really well. Like, hey man, let's do this instead, or hey, let's change the time. Like when you get to that stage where you trust someone, you can actually do that without feeling guilty.
Yeah.
I know even this week, just with my client, we're out doing certain activities. How many people say sorry?
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm like, are you sorry that you exist? Like, just relax. Like
people say sorry when they're not the one
here.
in the wrong. That's very common too.
Yeah. I love that you've reflected that different ways, because there's a lot of people like coming from like a trauma place, and I get that. I've been through that myself, and I'm still going through those different layers of people pleasing and saying sorry for being here, taking up space. But like when people don't apologize, that really rocks me when they're in the wrong.
Yeah.
And have the narcissistic behavior. They're going, nah, I'm always right.
Yeah.
I'm just like, there's only so much
Your
breath work you can do.
match that perfectly.
Yeah, thank you. Let's get that on a reel.
That would be like the rage bait click. Yeah. Just you saying that, acting like it's full serious.
Yeah. Oh man, it's just like some people are bad human beings, and I think some people want to see the world burn, but like don't have to follow that.
Yeah.
And if people go, you only expect you from other people, or fill up your own cup. And I say all these things because like we've been conditioned by TV and social media and friends, but like honestly, reflecting on things that are outside of you. So coming back to that fatherhood piece, I knew that I was working, right? I knew that I was providing. I knew that I was doing enough, but something clicked on me that I was sitting in the office chair, seeing my 15 clients a day, fluorescent lights, getting through my eyes, microwave meals, clients yelling and, treating me like absolute dirt. I'm trying to help them. I was like, imagine if Alessia was in this position. What would I say to her?
What would you tell us to do?
Yeah, I'd say, get the fuck out. Yeah. I'd say, get out, find another job. So, monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
What I did is I got out and I trusted, and man, I've been having a ball the last month. It's actually been really weird to say I'm thriving and I'm actually enjoying life, because I feel like...
Do you feel guilty?
I do.
Sometimes.
I do.
Yeah, I feel that too.
I really do. I feel guilty that I am earning good money. I feel guilty that I live in a beautiful home that has facilities that people would dream of. But the weird thing is, when I was in that space of consuming content, I was always going, you bloody assholes. Like, how dare you have a nice car? How dare you have a nice second home? So for me now, I'm like, how can I do it? And I do it so much. With my friends, go rock climbing. I go, hey bro, do you want to go for a swim? Like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, man. I don't own the pool. Just come on in.
Yeah, come for a swim.
That's why I love giving people experiences. And, we're talking about, your brand and who you are. And I think you just want to give people a voice. Yeah. You might not know this, you might have known this, but like having a podcast now, like in the 21st century or whatever century that we're in, like everyone wants a podcast, but everyone wants to talk, but no one wants to listen. Mm-hmm. And everyone wants to add value, like quote unquote, but no one actually wants to open up their heart and be vulnerable. Like the stuff I said today, I'm like, I was like, cringe, but like, I know I need to say this because there's someone probably at 2 a.m. listening to this podcast or dying on a treadmill. They're like, oh fuck, Brodie has these feelings. That means, I can probably have those feelings too. Like I never ever want to be on a pedestal because, man, I know what that's like to put someone on a pedestal. There's no room for you. Like if you put someone on a pedestal, there's no room for you. Yeah. So
And it really helps people normalize it within their own self of what they are going through when they hear someone else going through something similar. Like the ability to normalize what you're going through is massive, especially if it's someone that doesn't like opening up and talking to people, or, you know, sharing your experiences of the challenges that you go through. Then you just bottle things up and things get even worse. But then when you hear someone else talk, you're like, oh, well, maybe other people do experience these things. Maybe I can talk about it, and it's not this big deal that people will freak out about, you know?
Yeah.
And that's like another thing with when I was saying before about feeling guilty for, especially having like a really, really good relationship. I felt guilty talking to people like with how good my relationship is with my wife, because I didn't want to rub it in people's faces of people that had bad relationships. But I also thought about maybe I could inspire people.
Yes.
But then also I didn't want to talk about me feeling guilty about sharing it, because I didn't want people to be like, oh, he's looking for sympathy, or like, oh, you know, like why? It's funny how the mind likes to, you know, try and create all these stories. And I'm like, well, why can't I just share it? And the lens was so and the lens was so. And that's why I ended up getting Rhiannon on the podcast and doing that episode where we're talking about our relationship. It'd be cool to do one now. Now she's a lot more comfortable in front of a camera, and probably have a lot more to talk about with having the kid. But it's just funny that I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want to rub it in people's faces. And then when I did talk about it, I felt guilty for sharing it. And then me feeling guilty for sharing it, and then I started to think, well, I don't want people to think I'm looking for sympathy. And then I was like, it was like, for some reason I was like trying to find more ways to talk myself out of it, and it was really interesting. But maybe that's because I want to, and I saw you did this recently too, your social media, where you really separated business and personal life, and maybe that's me as well, because maybe I wanted to keep like my personal life behind podcasts and behind OneTalk personal, even though I'm in a really good relationship and I may be able to offer advice and wisdom. I still feel like I've got a layer of protect I still need to put around my family, because I find the more open your world is, and the more open, let's just say that, the more open your world is, the more opportunities there is for threat in the world.
For sure.
And yeah, I think that's where I'm at with it. So it's interesting too, because like I get told I have an inspiring story, and I love sharing that because I love sharing all the parts that involve me. I don't like talking about anyone else in my story and drag them through it either. Because I feel like I owe it to people for them to let them tell their own stories and for them to keep their own privacy. But also, like I said before, I feel like the more you shine light on your own personal life, the more open there is to threat. And it's kind of a thing that I've been sitting with lately, and it's interesting. And maybe it's not even a bad thing. Maybe I should be paranoid and cautious with sharing my personal life, because there is things to protect. You know, I've got a kid.
100%, bro. I really appreciate sharing that, because for me, I part of me is like, feel like I was in a trauma bond in the last 10 years of like, who is the wellness guy? And I had this actually feeling of, what if I get sick again? Then my whole story's made up. I'm not a person that went from illness to wellness. And this is why I have openly talked about, like, I'm building a brand. I'm not me. Like, there is parts of me that you'll get to know. And when you've jumped in the circle and seen different things, and when I do retreats down the line, and when I do talk to schools, it's like, they're not actually like this. It's Brodie not wellness guy, but it's Brodie Klotz. Yeah. Like, it's my story, it's my lived experience. And like, Steph is a very private person, and I got to respect that. Some days I'm just like, let's get a photo. Yeah. But it's got 3,500 followers. Like, it's a lot. Like, I was very proud of myself. I got to do affirmations to myself that I didn't share Steph's stuff tonight, because it's her story. And I think it's a beautiful thing that you shared, bro, is like, you want to help people, but you also want to give them the stage, and then they can take the microphone when they're ready. Yeah. And it's important as well, because for some people, as we said in the car, are assholes, and they will want to make the world burn, and they see you, whatever they see you as, and they want to find out certain things. They can they can try to take your personal brand, your family down, your business, whatever that is. Yeah. And ever since I got public liability insurance and all these insurance, I'm like, what does that cover, and what do I do? But at the end of the day, I I think the best thing that I've learned, because I've always been an extrovert, I've always shared my whole life, what I had for breakfast, where I sleep, what my BSB and bank details are. Just kidding. I just go like, man, I just go, and I'm funny.
Donations in the bio.
Yeah. Link in bio. Patron. Everyone's just trying to get ahead. Like, I feel like if you are in the space of running a massive brand, I highly encourage you to protect whatever you need to protect. But at the end of the day as well, you don't want to become scarce of what you share and who you share it with. And to be honest, man, I have been loving giving up, my coaching business and me have to follow this script I used to do. And it was just so cringeworthy. We joke about it now, but like the amount of resources that your podcasts, numerous free YouTube videos, Udemy, all these other free things that you can do, you can literally do it for free. Like, why do you need someone to hold your hand? You can literally do it while you're in the toilet, traveling, whatever. And I think I wish I didn't spend all that money, because I would have been more, not well off, but I would have been more stable.
Yeah. And
that's a big thing now since my daughter was born. I want financial security. And I was talking about this before. Like, I used to be reckless, man. I racked up $2,500 on a credit card at Autobahn. Autobahn's a car shop. Had a Toyota Corolla. Yeah. I got a dash cam, a light bar, a reverse camera, like in Toyota Corolla. It was like $3,000. I think I probably spent more money on the equipment than the actual car. But that was my outlet, and I was very easily persuaded and impulsive, and I know we derailed on that thing, but it's important to go through all these things to learn, and then, if you keep doing it over and over again, you're kind of not getting the picture.
Yeah. What do you think about when people say this to you? Because I know when someone is in the middle of a challenge and you hear this saying, sometimes people just want to tell them to shut up. I want to know like what your perspective is and what your thoughts are. But when you are in the middle of a challenge or middle of going through someone, and someone goes to you, pain has a purpose, this will all mean something in the future. Like, it's like, you can, in hindsight, you can always say everything I've been through, I'm grateful for, because it served a purpose. But when you're in that moment, like, it's the last thing you want to hear. And I feel like the reason I'm bringing that up is because I know a lot of people will say that to someone who is going for a challenge, but sometimes it may not be the best thing to say to that person in the moment. But what's your experience been like with that, if anyone has said that to you in those moments?
Yeah, quite a few. What I would like people to recognize and acknowledge, that some people need to sit in their pain, trauma, sadness before getting out there and winning the day. So for me, having my weighted blanket on, having numerous panic attacks, watching Suits, not working for 6 months, I had to go through that. I laugh with love at myself going, God, that'd be nice right now, weighted blanket and watching Suits and not worrying about anything else.
Yeah.
But like, I also know that I had to rest, rejuvenate, reset to be the person I am today. So I had people going, you're attention seeking, just man up, or, this will all pass, time, all this stuff. And I'm like, I felt like I wanted to die. I didn't want to be here. I felt like I was just going insane, man. And then I was on social media because that's all I could do when I wasn't working. And it was just in toxic positivity. And I'm really passionate about this because not everyone, has that ability to bounce back as quick as, the next person. So yes, pain has its lessons, but if you're not actually acknowledging their pain and like listening to them and sitting with that, they're going to think they're crazy.
That's it, acknowledging it and listening to. I think that's the big part. You can say these things that we talked about, but actually listen with the intention to understand what they're saying.
Yeah, I'm constantly, as used to be on the telephone crisis lines at Lifeline, shout out to Bundaberg as a volunteer, then did paid stuff. I paid in Tim Tams and coffee. I was like, let's go save some lives. And I did. I saved a lot of people. But they saved themselves. I just listened. That's all I did. I followed a little script and a little triangle, but you know how many times I got in trouble? They said, Brodie, follow the script. I said, I've got a jumper in Sydney right now, the Gap. I ain't following the script. I want to listen to him. And I hope he's still alive. I trust he's still alive, but he's stayed alive for that day when I was on the phone with him for over an hour. That shit is important, not shit. That incredible, amazing thing that I went through with this man is so important, because imagine if I said, for what purpose? For what's coming up for you? He's on a bridge. You say a wrong thing, he jumps.
Yeah.
That could have been on my conscience for a long time. And I'm not here to save everyone. I'm not here to... Everyone has their own ability to make a decision. And, you know, I even laugh at myself, bro. I'm like, I'm such a dictionary of words of like these quotes and metaphors. Some are good. Some I just need to get rid of. Like just open up my brain and just, you know, let it flood out. Yeah. Go to the, you know, country places that need water. Like just let all the flood out. But like for me, man, I generally care. Like I'm not scripted. I literally get in trouble for being me. And you know, when you ask that question, reflecting on like who's Brodie, it's just like, I don't know, not 9 times out of 10, but I do know that I'm authentic, and I pride myself on being authentic and real, because for a lot of clowns out there, a lot of jokers, a lot of people in masks, you know, for me, I just wanted to be seen, acknowledged, and listened. And that's what my life has turned into. My business model, how I support, how we connected through all those years ago, is just listening, caring, and just going, hey, this is a good dude. Let's change some lives. And haven't we done that already? Isn't that beautiful that we're both dads now? We're both crushing in our own ride of success. And yeah, I can't stand people gaslighting and making people feel worse off because they're not at that stage yet. And I will always speak up on that, because, you know, if you're going through the most terrible thing, if someone goes, this will pass, bro, or, you know, you'll get through this, you know, just sit with them, listen to them, and sometimes all they need is just to be heard.
Beautiful. Yes, you answered my next question. My next question was, how do you be a support person for someone? But
no, I got something to that, bro. For me, when I speak, I try to bring my lived experience to the conversation. It can be powerful to do that.
Like peer support work.
Correct. Yeah. But it's not a good way to listen to someone, because if you're thinking, okay, Ryan said this question and I'm already thinking about the next question, it's not a test. This is just us chatting, right? For me, if I really want to like dive into someone and help them and listen to them, I want to listen wholeheartedly to every piece of information and then go, hey bro, are you open for feedback? Because I used to give unsolicited advice so much. Some of my friends were like, don't open up. Brodie will fucking try to coach you. And I used to do that in the past, you know, because I was so like ingrained into that coaching realm. But to be honest, make things not about you, because Ryan, okay, I'll use an example. That's cool. Yeah. So Ryan talks about he has a problem overworking, and I go straight away, yeah, me too, mate. This is what I've done. Ryan's like, you just didn't listen. Like you just made it about you. Yeah. I've just finally opened up to someone, and now you've made it about him. Yeah. So like, it's okay if you've done that, if you weren't aware of that pattern, but I highly encourage and prompt you, anyone listening, if you are going through something and a friend said, hey, my partner cheated on you, don't bring it back to your story, because you're actually thinking about yourself. Listen to them and support them. And if they want your feedback, they'll ask.
And validate how they feel.
Correct.
I love that, bro. I think I might stop it there. We will do our community Q&A, so don't press stop on the podcast if you're listening, because we've still got a few questions coming up.
Awesome.
But before we do the community Q&A, is there anything else you want to bring up, touch on, talk about?
No, I feel complete, man. I loved how this flowed tonight, as always.
Hour and 10, we've dived into a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been good. But knowing me and you, this could have been like 10 Joe Rogan podcasts
It still can.
Maybe we do that, the first ever 24-hour podcast.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down.
Look at that, and we can raise money for charity.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, let's keep that in the books.
Done.
First question. What's the most important perspective you've learned along the journey?
Ooh, great question. That your journey is yours alone. Why I say that is if you're constantly looking at someone else's journey, you've just taken yourself off your race. Talking about journaling, knowing where you are. So I'll actually share this really awesome tip. And I need to actually do it myself because I forgot to do it 2 years ago, but I did it last year, is get a A4 book. I think I said it to you on the first potty. I'm not sure if I did. I'll reflect it back, but write down everything that you achieved. Small, big, medium. Take pictures, put it on the book, and then reflect on the New Year's Eve of that year. And then that's your perspective of how much you've given, you've donated, you've grown, because it's so easy to be on someone else's highlight reel. But if you create your own highlight reel and actually make effort to put pictures and journal what you've done in 2025, that's something that I truly believe, because I am living someone else's dream right now. And I truly believe that I'm grateful for my life, but someone else is actually wanting what I have. And then I'm probably wanting what someone else have. But if you be grateful for what you have, then you won't start, wanting. You'll just start creating from a place of like love and gratitude.
Amen. Love that, brother. Our next one is favorite quote.
I'm going to do it. Shout out to my dad. If it is to be, it is up to me. He would ingrain me. He's like, Rome wasn't built in a day. So yes, it was. Not in Brisbane traffic anyway. Highway was built in 20 years. Be here now too. I think that. And what I mean by that is be in the present moment. Like today, even though I know Ryan on a personal level, I truly, we get in this flow state and I'm just like, that was fun. It's just like every conversation can be a podcast, recorded or not. So if it is to be, it's up to me. A really good one. And I know we talked about this too, sharp hearts, but like, yeah, I think another one that Gary Vee talks about, we're all going to die one day. But don't do stupid decisions because you're going to die one day. But like, it's a good reminder to have a better relationship with your own passing. And, you might not think you have a lot left, but like, just do the things now and stop putting it off.
Love that. Last one, you probably know it because I ask every guest it. But what's your definition of success?
My definition of success is living in true alignment, online and offline. And man, I've became a dad, man. I've always wanted to be a dad.
How good's that?
It's such a good feeling. And having my daughter smile at me and giggle and do all those things and look at me with so much love, and to be with someone for the last 10 years and to create a life, like a life form, like that is success. No amount of money, no amount of travel, even though those two would be bloody lovely right now. I can speak on my behalf, and I'm sure you can as well, that having a child shows you what love was missing in your heart.
Facts. So true, isn't it? Brodie, just want to say thank you for coming on the podcast. Just want to say I'm proud of you, brother. Everything you've overcome, especially more of a deep dive in your own story. People listen to the first episode, they'll know the challenges you've been through and where you are today. And I highly recommend, if you haven't listened to the first one, go listen to it. I think it's episode 36.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, episode 36 of OneTalk. Go check it out. But bro, I'm so proud of you, of how far you've come, what you're continuing to do, and pursuing your passions, pursuing your purpose, and showing up for your family.
Thank you, brother. Really appreciate that. And I'm proud of you. Thank you for holding space, and grateful to know you, and you're doing amazing work.